Trying to adapt an old favorite recipe to the new sizes of packaging is no joke. Of Christmas are just rolling along here, and today is definitely probably one of Grace's favorites. Pardon the door slamming. I have teenagers in the house. They don't know how to close a door right. Yeah, this is one of Grace's favorites. It freezes amazing raw. So I'm only going to bake off a couple just so you can see what they look like, but because obviously it's still early and we don't need all these cookies in the house. And I'm going to send the platter in with David the last couple of days before they shut down for Christmas break. Now, this is a recipe from, what's the name of them? A Taste of Home. And this is a magazine I used to get at Christmas for quite a couple of years. And then the prices went to the price of an actual cookbook. I think it's like $18 or $19 here now, and no, I'm not paying that. But I have two favorites that I absolutely love that I have hung on to. One I've actually kept in its whole form. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, there. Right here. And this one is from 2010. This recipe is from one that I just cut out the recipes I liked and put them into plastic, what do you call those things? Those little plastic things you keep in a binder. The word's totally gone. I just kept them. And one of them was this coconut macaroon cookie. Now, so that recipe, I've been making this one since before Grace was born, and Grace turned 20 in October, so that shows you how old that one was, that magazine. And I just want to say, okay, so in 2010, I actually paid $12.99 for this. I'm shocked I paid that much, quite frankly, but I think this might have been a stocking stuffer, because David used to put, Santa used to leave magazines they knew I liked, crochet, things like this. Sometimes I'd get Pioneer Woman magazine in my stocking, and I think that was it, because I wouldn't have paid $12.99 for it myself. Anyway, yeah, so this recipe, which we are making coconut macaroons, and luckily it is, I can just link it down below for you because it's on their website. It's old, like I said, and packaging was a little bit different 20 plus years ago. And I had to empty not one, not two, and a little bit of a third bag of coconut to get my 5.5 cups of coconut I need for this recipe. That's crazy that I had to use that many. And also, so we need obviously 5.5 cups of, now the recipe calls for, it just says flaked coconut. A lot of times they're sweetened. I don't buy sweetened coconut. I just don't. This is the brand I love. And I got this for such a good price, and I just froze it. And I have still quite a bit in the freezer because Grace and I are the only ones who like coconut. The boys don't like it. You're also gonna need sweetened condensed milk. I'm gonna have to use this bigger can and this small, and not quite all of this can to get me my 14 ounces. This is closer to 15, and I think these haven't been turning out for me the last couple of years is because I've been using all of it, trying to adjust. So I'm gonna have to adjust roughly the 14 ounces, and then you'll need just a pinch of salt and some vanilla extract. And yeah, it is no joke learning how to bake with these recipes that you've been using forever, and they go and change the packaging size on you. So, yeah, not cool. Not cool. So we're just gonna go ahead and get started. Like I said, these freeze great raw. You need to flash freeze them on a cookie sheet, and once they're hard, you can put them into a Ziploc bag, zip them up, and that's what I'm gonna do, because if you try and put them all in before they're frozen, you're just gonna have one big giant macaroon mesh in a bag. So I already have in my bowl 5.5 cups of flaked coconut, 2/3 cup of flour, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Just gonna give this a stir. I probably could have used a bigger bowl. I probably should have. What's great about this too, you don't have to use your mixers at all. We can just use this bowl. And this bowl is very special to me. While I pull my hair back. This was actually my grandmother Tracy's bowl. She was my mother's mother, and we lost her, wow, 15 years ago. It's hard to believe it was that long. Aiden was not quite 1 when she passed away. And her and my other grandmother both have sweet teeth, sweet tooths. Let's face it, all their teeth were sweet. And she loved to bake. And I really remember a lot of her treats at Christmas. And when I first got married, Dave and I were broke. Like, we were broke. And she had gotten a new stand mixer, and she gave me this one that was with her other stand mixer that was Harvest Gold, I believe was the color it was called. On one of our moves, the mixer unfortunately was broke, but the bowl was saved. So I saved the bowl. I use it often. I mean, it is a heavy-duty, thick bowl. Like, they really knew how to make them years ago. And every time I use it, I think of her. And I smile because Grammy Tracy was a hoot. Okay, so that is all mixed in. So that's the flour, the coconut, and the salt. Next, I'm going to add my vanilla. And I actually am going to, believe it or not, I'm going to measure the vanilla. I know I never usually do. But we want 2 teaspoons of vanilla. So 1, 2, and I'm going to add a third. The recipe calls for 2, I add 3. Okay, and you can use any extract here. I'm going with vanilla just because my other extracts aren't quite ready yet. Hopefully by Valentine's Day I'll be able to use them. So the vanilla is in there, and now we're going to add, and you might notice that this is sweetened condensed coconut milk. Because these are Grace's favorite and she eats them, I try to make them as clean as I can, because that's our Gracie girl. She's very conscious about what she eats. I love this too. You never know, honestly, it was not the regular dairy kind. And it has organic cane sugar as their sweetener. And that's it. There's no corn syrup. There's no artificial anything. So you can use your dairy one, though, in this. I just find it tastes even more coconutty because it's the coconut milk. Okay, so we got 1. Now, so that's 250 milliliters. We need 14 ounces, which is almost, I have almost 15, I think it is. So we are gonna try and not take all of this. And hopefully, I'm gonna say, I think that's all I'm going to use. Let's hope that's enough. Yeah, I'd say that's probably about 1 ounce left in there. I will do something with that. I'm not sure. I don't want to waste it because being non-dairy, these are expensive, though I will say I got these at our grocery outlet for much cheaper. I actually have an oat milk one that I picked up 2 cans of at our grocery outlet last week that I'm curious to try. I'm thinking about trying to make a fudge with it, and we'll see how that tastes. All right, so all we're going to do now is mix this up. I try and mix as much as I can with my spoon, but eventually the hands are going in there, and my hands are clean. The rings are off, the hands are washed, and here we go. I laugh because the recipe is by a Crystal Lyle, and she says that she has won many first place ribbons at her state fairs with this recipe. I have made a few without the flour, and I just find they spread too much and they become very flat. They're good, but they don't stay the nice little round cookie that macaroons are. When these are cooked, once they've cooled, you can dip them in chocolate. You can drizzle chocolate over them, which I have done many times. I won't be doing that today, but I probably will do it with the majority of them when we bring them out to cook closer to actual Christmas. So yeah, woo! It is messy. but I think we're all incorporated. So I'm just gonna go wash my hands. I'm gonna get my cookie scoop out. I'm gonna cook up a couple. I'm just curious, I can't remember how many this says this makes. It doesn't say. I guess it depends depending on your cookie scoop, but I'm gonna be using the small cookie scoop for these. So we're just gonna scoop these out onto a cookie sheet and bake them at 350 degrees for 15 minutes. This video, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the little bell so you know when all the new videos, especially for this month, are coming out. There we go, coconut macaroons. They turned out perfect. These took about 16 minutes total. I started them at 12 and kept an eye on them, and you want to, they just start turning brown. The rest are all in the freezer, getting solid, so I can put them in a Ziploc bag and haul them out later in the season. Those ones I will probably drizzle some chocolate over some of them maybe, or come back and I'll show you what I'm gonna do with them. But these are probably the best ones I have made in a while. So I guess I figured out the measurements. It's just crazy how much the measurements, the sizes of everything has changed. I noticed the chocolate chips recipe calls for 200, and an old recipe I had called for 250 gram bag. And then they changed it to 225, and that's what the recipe the last few years have said, 225. I noticed when I went to make something the other day, the bag was 220 grams. So that has changed also. But I'm just gonna try these. These are so good. Oh, those are yummy. Gracie's gonna like those too. Make sure you come back tomorrow to see the next treat I'm making for my 12 treats of Christmas.